Well, it's wonderful to be with you all this morning. I always consider it a real privilege to be here. Some of you may have noticed I have my beard's growing out. I'm trying to cover for my wisdom tooth, which just popped out this week, and so it's still really sore. So apologies if I sound a little muffled or mumbled. I need to book an appointment with the dentist. At what time? 2:30. You got it, 2:30. Yeah. And so the beard is hopefully, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but then it grew on me. So, anyway, hey, how would you finish this sentence? May the force be equal to the mass times acceleration. All right, so, well, force. What do you mean by force? That's the difference between a nerd and a geek, right? How you answer that question. Force means different things to different people. Maybe it means mass times acceleration. Maybe it means the amount of strength in your push. Maybe it means a semi-vague religious aspect of Star Wars. But I think it is a bit telling that words can mean different things. And sometimes meaning gets a little bit clouded. So I want to ask you a question. Put your hand up in the air if you would say, I am a Christian. Okay. Wow, great. Lots of people here. So just turn to the person beside you and just imagine that they asked, what do you mean by that? And I want to give you 30 seconds to say, what do you mean when you say, I am a Christian? Have a go. Okay. Maybe you found that a little bit challenging. Did anyone find it like, maybe you found that nobody's actually asked me it quite like that, and I haven't had to articulate it for a little while, and it's a bit of a struggle to put a clear answer to that question. And that's okay. Last year, Richard Dawkins, who is one of the most famous atheists in the world, he wrote a book called The God Delusion, and one of his famous quotes is that God is a vindictive, misogynistic bully, amongst other colorful words. But last year, he came out and he said basically this: I'm a cultural Christian. What does he mean by that? Why would he say something like that? When you ask people, what is a Christian? I think they tend to mean one of three things. They might mean, I believe in Jesus. They might mean, I go to church. They might mean, I'm a good person. And maybe some variation of these responses came into your answer today. So my question is any one of those things enough to say that you're a Christian? What about altogether? Are they enough to say that you're a Christian? What is it that makes someone a Christian? Now, we're going to go through these one at a time, and my goal for today is just to provide three simple pictures to help us fill out this idea, so that by the end of our time together this morning, I'm going to ask us the same question, and hopefully you'll have a bit more of a fully fleshed out answer, so that when you go into your week tomorrow, and someone asks you about the way that you're living and why you're different, or what it is for the reason for the hope inside you, why you're a Christian, you might be better prepared to have an answer ready for them. So, are you ready? Cool. Let's start with the first one. I believe in Jesus. So, we're 6 months into the year. How are you going with your resolutions? I don't know about you, but I've had multiple years where I thought, I've resolved at the start of the year, I want to exercise more. I want to be more consistent. Maybe I'll get a gym membership. Now, just imagine that someone was offering you a gym membership for free. For free. Would you take it? Well, I think most people would say yes. Because not only do we know that going to the gym and exercising more is better for us, but it's also like a gym membership means that you have open access, you can go whenever you like, which is good. So you can participate in something that's going to be beneficial for yourself. and kind of on your own schedule. You can work it around your life, but also it's free. It's great. It's a gift, which is awesome. All you need to do is just sign up. Sign the dotted line, sign the paperwork, fill that out, and then you're in. You're a gym member. I think we often assume that our relationship with God is a bit like getting a free gym membership. We know it's going to be good for us in the long run. We can kind of engage with spirituality and our Christian faith kind of on our own terms, whenever we want. It's not like a constant thing, and it's a free gift. All you need to do is just sign the paperwork, say this special prayer after me, and that's it. You're a gym member. You're a Christian. Well, I wonder what Jesus says about following him and what a life lived with him looks like. He says this: whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. And what I notice is specifically absent from this passage here is repeat these simple words after me, and you're in, and your eternity is secure. The key words there are disciple and follow me. Following is an active activity. It's a present, continuous thing. So it's not just a one-off thing. You know, sometimes I like to use the password analogy where we treat the gospel like, well, all you need to do is just say the password and then God will let you in. But the words disciple and follow me kind of add a little challenge to that. Now, we don't really use the word disciple outside of a religious context, so I think there's a better word that describes what a disciple actually is, and that's this: an apprentice. What do you see happening in this picture? Who do you see? Well, there's two characters. There's an older person looking on, and there's a young guy having a go at the tools. Now, who do you think is the master in there? Well, you would hope it's the, or expect or assume that it's the older person. And what's the job of a master and an apprentice? Well, if you've ever taken on an apprenticeship, you have first-hand experience of this. The job of the apprentice is to learn from the master, to show up, to listen, to obey, to make mistakes even, but to learn from them. Now imagine if you sign up for an apprenticeship and you just didn't show up on Monday. Or you treated it like that free gym membership. You thought, you know what, I'll just go whenever it suits me. Or I've signed up, you know, it doesn't cost me anything to sign up for this apprenticeship. It's a free gift, so I'll just engage with it on my terms. Do you think you'd be a good apprentice? No. Do you think you're going to become like the master? No. To be a disciple of Jesus means to be his apprentice. That's the first picture that I want to offer us today. To follow Jesus means to, every day, listen and obey the words and the teachings of the Master, who is Jesus. And it's a higher cost, but if we actually want to follow Jesus, and I think we often skip over that word want. Whoever wants to be my disciple. Like you don't have to. You don't want to. The invitation is there. But if you want to follow Jesus, if you want to be his apprentice, this is what the cost is. Deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. So, our job as Christians is to not just sign the dotted line and sign up for our gym membership and never go. We're actually apprentices, which I hope is hope-filling too, because we're not the master. We don't have to have everything put together. We're just on our own journeys of gradually becoming, day by decade, like the Master, who is Jesus. So instead of saying that a Christian is someone who believes in Jesus, I would like to offer this as a counter to that. I am an apprentice of Jesus, which hopefully fleshes that out a little bit more. All right, are we tracking with me so far? All right. So apprentice is the first picture that I'd like to offer. So how does Sunday affect Monday? If we're going to think about ourselves as apprentices, what does that look like come tomorrow? Well, an apprentice every day must learn to listen to and obey the words of the Master. And so I wonder how much of our lives actually we include Jesus in. In the morning, in your prayer time, maybe it looks like asking God, what are you saying to me today? How do I need to prepare myself for today? Or what's one thing that I need to work on how I can be following you in my life today? Just a simple thing of including God in the everyday life, not just once a week on a Sunday. If we're apprentices, it looks like all of life and lived on God's terms, not a simple gym membership where we go whenever we feel like it. Here's the second one. I go to church. Well, here you are. You've made it. Well done. You're a Christian, according to this simple statement here. Now, this is a great quote by Keith Green. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to McDonald's makes you a hamburger. He said it, not me. I wonder what the truth is behind this. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. You know, going to Macca's doesn't make you a hamburger. But so what is it about coming to church that is supposedly makes us a Christian? Well, I want to give you this analogy. Grocery shopping is something that you might have to do like once or twice a week. You go to collect the things that you need. You put them in your basket. You try to avoid eye contact with people that you know maybe. You get in and out without necessarily talking to anybody. You can do it all. You can do self-checkout. You can actually do all your shopping online and have it delivered to your door. You don't even need to go anywhere. How much of that relates to the way that we treat church? You go maybe once or twice a week. You get the things that you need, some fresh veggies, some fresh food for your spirit. You don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to. You can do your transactions online. And in fact, you don't even have to be in the room. You can just get your content delivered to your door or to your lounge room, wherever you are. Is church like a grocery shop? Well, the interesting thing is that if we go to church, nowhere in the Bible does it say that you have to go to church. You won't find that in the Bible. What you will find in the Bible is that you are the church. See, what we tend to do is we tend to make church an activity, something that we do. So we say things like, oh, we had church on the weekend. It was an activity that I participated in. Or we say things like, we think it's a building. Like, I went to church. Or it's at the church today. We turn it into an activity or a building. A bit like grocery shopping. Oh, I went to the shops. Or I went shopping. There's an activity and it's a place that you go to. But those things don't actually, they're not actually applicable to when we talk about church. The church, as described in the Bible, is not an activity. It's not something that you do. And it's not a place. It's not somewhere you go. It's a community. And so, according to the Bible, we are not in a church, we are the church right now. Why this matters is because, well, have a look at this verse. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. And so when we think about ourselves as Christians, we don't just have this upwards relationship with God as apprentice and master. We have a horizontal relationship with each other, and that is as a family. And so I want to put to you that the church is one big family. Now, if you've ever traveled overseas or you've done some solo exploring, you'll know the feeling, perhaps, of being utterly on your own, not knowing a soul, and perhaps you've even been in a situation where on a Sunday, you've walked into a church and suddenly you've felt this experience of, you know what, wow, I thought I was on my own, but now that I look around, I have all these brothers and sisters in Christ. When I went to study and live in Canada, I had this really profound experience. I didn't know anybody there before I left. But when I joined a church community there, I experienced what it was like to be part of the family of God. Brothers and sisters all around the world who, what we had in common was Jesus. And so to be Christian means to be part of this global family. And it's incredible, actually. Let's not diminish what church is. Let's not just say that it's a grocery shop that we might do once or twice a week to get our fresh veggies, to come to pick the things that we want, to get out of it, to be selective in what we want, but actually to come as family members, ready to give of ourselves, ready to connect deeply with one another, and to see the people sitting beside you as a brother or sister in Christ. What would it change about the person that you're sitting next to if you actually saw them as a family member? Here's one thing that might change. You might actually be a bit more free to be yourself. When I have family get-togethers, my family down in Melbourne is quite large, the Sri Lankan family. It's amazing. I love the curries that we eat. Oh, it's so good. And my aunties and uncles are always the ones to prepare all the food. And the cousins, we all just hang out together. And, we used to have movie nights together. It was just great. Like, being part of a big family is so much fun. And everyone has different roles that they play. You've got the matriarch and the patriarch of the family who kind of like oversee the whole dynasty that they've spawned. You've got the uncles and aunts who play different roles. And you've got like my aunt makes the best mango mousse. It's so good. And I've got another aunt who does the Christmas pudding. And everyone does their own, contributes their own thing. And that's what happens in a family. And so you're part of this family, if you're a Christian. You're involved too. What is it that you have to offer, that you can bring? Instead of putting things into your grocery basket, maybe you show up to the shops and you've actually got stuff in it that you want to give to someone else. If we're a family, what might that look like? So instead of saying, I go to church, let's practice saying this: I'm part of God's family. So how does Sunday affect Monday? Well, one of the things that this idea might change about us is, like I said, being a little bit more vulnerable. Being a bit more okay with being yourself. Because as family, you're not escaping. You can't run away from blood. And in Jesus' family, it's his blood that connects us. So, you're in it. That means also that I'm committed to you. And that when I have conflict, I'm going to seek to resolve it. That means that when you're struggling, I'm going to help you out. That means when you need encouragement, I'm going to offer it. But I also hope that you'll offer it to me too. We're not just here for the good times. We're in this together as a family. So that's the second picture. We're apprentices of Jesus as Christians. And actually, we don't go to church. We don't have church. We are the church. We are God's family. That's what it means to be a Christian. You get to belong. And the last one, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I think this is probably the most common one, that if you ask anyone off the street and you ask them, like, are you a Christian? And they say, oh, yes, of course. And then you say, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm a good person. That might be their response. Well, I want to problematize this with this picture here. In the crucifixion scene, Jesus is crucified with two criminals, one on his left and one on his right. And the criminal on Jesus' right has lived a terrible life, probably killed some people. Like, crucifixion is the worst kind of death that you could be tortured with. So he's done something pretty bad with his life. And there's no coming down off that cross for him, until he's dead. There's no opportunity for him to do anything good. He's a terrible, wicked person, and yet, on the cross, in his final dying moments, he acknowledges Jesus as Lord, and he says, wow, you truly are the Son of God. Remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus says, today you will be with me in paradise. It's fascinating. The first Christian has no chance to be a good person. So it doesn't matter how good you are. That doesn't actually define whether you're a Christian or not. Listen to Jesus' words here. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? We cast out demons. We've done many wonders in your name. Look at all these good things that we did. I will declare to them, I never knew you. Doesn't matter how good you are. Do you know Jesus? Is he the master to your apprentice? Do you know Jesus? Paul, the apostle, says this: the real believers are the ones the Spirit of God leads to work away at this ministry, filling the air with Christ's praise as we do it. So, the Spirit of God leads us to work, and obviously to do good things. You might say as a result of this, well, does it matter like how good I am as a person? Well, yes, God does call us to do good things, to do good deeds. But the emphasis is on the words at the bottom there, filling the air with whose praise? Christ's praise. Who's getting praised when you say, I'm a good person? It's about you, isn't it? Like, I'm a good person. Look at how good I am. But instead, our good deeds are supposed to show Christ's praise. Jesus says it this way: you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. So let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds. So definitely, good deeds are important. You should be operating in a moral, with good character, with integrity, living a life that is a bright light. But here's the result: that they may glorify your Father in heaven. I went camping recently with a mate, and we set up camp at the top of this ridge and then hiked down into a valley. And while we were down in the valley, the sun started to set, and we didn't realize how quickly it was going to set because, while we were setting up camp, it was fine. We were at the top of the ridge, so there was plenty of sunlight. But down in the valley, the sun sets quite quickly, and it got dark. Quick. So dark, in fact, that we could barely see in front of us to walk back up the steep slope to our campsite. And fortunately, he just brought his phone down So he didn't have any torch with us. We just had this tiny little lamp on his phone. Now, imagine if he'd walked back up with the torch just on his face. Would that have been helpful? Not at all. A bit spooky, probably. No, he needed to shine his torch on the path so that we could see where we're going. I think good deeds are a bit like the torch or the lamp. Your good deeds shine on you, make you look good, or do they light up the path, the way? One of the things we talk about as we seek to build a discipleship culture is being predictably present for people in our world, being authentically curious about what's going on. And the last one is conspicuously spiritual. Do people in your world know that you're a Christian? They know that you follow Jesus. Do they know that the reason why you might do the good things that you do, are you pointing to Jesus or are you pointing to yourself? Because we are the light of the world. But our light is not supposed to illuminate ourselves. Our light is supposed to illuminate God's goodness. And that's the challenge. So instead of saying, I'm a good person, and saying that that is what makes us a Christian, I point to Jesus' goodness. That's our role as the light of the world. So, again, how does Sunday affect Monday? Well, is there anything in your life that you do that's conspicuously spiritual? Do people at work know that you're a Christian? Do you talk about God? Do you refrain from using coarse language? What is it that makes you stand out? And do people know that Jesus is the cause of that? I've been challenged by this in my own life to be more conspicuously spiritual. So things like I carry around this little Gideon's Bible. I know I've got the Bible on my phone that I can use, but this is just a great little tool to one simple way that when people see it, they ask, oh, what is that? I say, oh, it's just my little pocket Bible. People say that the Bible is like the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. I like to call this my little dagger. And you would be amazed at the number of conversations that it started. What is that for you? How can you be more conspicuously spiritual? So the three comments that we started with, what is it that makes you a Christian? Well, I believe in Jesus. I go to church. I'm a good person. I want to offer you these three pictures in response. And so I'm going to ask you this same question again. And maybe you might like to choose one of those three pictures, or all three, or a combination. But how would you answer the question now? Chat with the person beside you. What does it mean to be a Christian? I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. So at the start, I mentioned that the word force means different things to different people, and the word Christian means different things to different people. But I would also suggest to you that people need different things. And Jesus often spoke to people where they were at, right? And so if someone asks you, oh, what does it mean to be a Christian? I wouldn't expect that you would, use all those three pictures. Maybe you just choose a picture that's relevant to them. Maybe they're a workmate and you work in a trade, and you might say, well, actually, I see it as being like an apprenticeship to Jesus. Or maybe you're speaking with someone who feels lonely and isolated, and you say, well, guess what? Being a Christian means you get to be part of a beautiful big family. It's all around the world, and you belong there. Or maybe you are speaking with someone who you volunteer with, and you're like, you know what? You're such a great person. And I love that we do this together, that we serve people together. I'm actually doing this because I see it in Jesus, and He's the source of any motivation for goodness in my heart. Maybe you have a different picture too. You could think of your own. Base it in the words of Jesus and use it to connect with people where they're at. But as we go out from here into our weeks, let's be the light of the world and point people to the goodness of God. Let's be a family. And remember that we are called together to be the hands and the feet and the heart. And everyone plays their own role. Some of you are aunties and uncles who are great at cracking jokes or cooking up feasts. Some of you are like cousins who are fun to hang around and full of games and laughter. Some of you are grandmas and grandpas in the faith who take care of the young ones and with gentle nudges make sure that everyone's staying on track. And maybe tomorrow morning you need to wake up and say, all right, Jesus, you're the master. What do I need to learn from you today? We're going to sing this song, and in the bridge says, I have decided to follow Jesus. And if today you're here and you haven't decided to follow Jesus, this is your opportunity to do so. As you sing the words of this song, may it be a prayer. And I would challenge you to share that your decision to want to be an apprentice, to join the family, to be the light of the world with someone immediately after the service. Whether it's up at the front, I'm happy to stick around and pray, or a friend who maybe you came with, or a family member out in the courtyard. Or maybe you've already decided to follow Jesus, but you just you've heard this morning and you're like, oh, you know what, I was treating my faith a bit like a gym membership that I've just signed the line and I've coasted by. Or my church family have just been like that shopping cart. Or I've just been relying on my own goodness to carry me through instead of pointing towards Jesus' goodness. Use this song too to renew your commitment to follow Jesus with your whole heart. So why don't we stand and sing the words of this song together.
Christ is my reward.